Hey there folks, my name's Gray, you're watching Consoletronics. Now I've been criticised in some quarters for not paying proper lip service to nostalgia, and this in many ways is true, because to me nostalgia is a double-edged sword. Too little and you're missing the whole point of gaming, and too much and you end up thinking some dumb shit, like the Amstrad CPC 464 was the greatest ever games machine. But recently there's been a tag flying around entitled Your Top 5 Most Nostalgic Games. I saw My Brother by Another Mother, the Isolated Gamers response, and was inspired to do my own. But as I have not been tagged, I won't be limiting myself to just 5 games, because as an OG who's been around since video games first crawled out of the primordial ooze, I will instead look at my most nostalgic games from each and every generation of gaming platforms. And we begin in the pre-Socratic age of 8-bit home computers. I would love to regale you with stories of spending many a happy Saturday afternoon playing games like Manic Miner and Sabre Wolf on the Commodore 64 and ZX Spectrum respectively, but as the only machine I owned was a Commodore C16+4, I can't. And I won't be insulted if you've never heard of a C16. Had I not owned one, I probably wouldn't have heard of it either. The game you see running here is in fact the very first video game I ever played, and as such it has a special place in my heart. Treasure Island, based on Robert Louis Stevenson's timeless novel and bundled with the machine. Just think, if my parents hadn't bought me this C16 and instead had got me Megatron like I wanted, I probably wouldn't be here making YouTube videos today. The first game I ever bought, back in the days when you could buy video games with your pocket money. Rockman. Great game. I remember vividly playing this game and thinking to myself, it was like I had an arcade machine in my house. Ah, the naivety of youth. It's not often a Christmas themed game gets a positive mention, but Icicle Works here was a game that my 6-year-old self enjoyed playing all year round. The first video game I ever completed was this curious title that's been deemed excessively difficult by many retro YouTubers who've played it in recent years. Guess that proves conclusively I really was a gaming prodigy as a kid. I have been asked a number of times, what is nostalgia? Well, to me, nostalgia is remembering being a little kid, running home from school to play this game on the TV in the living room, before my dad got home from work and made me switch it off because he wanted to watch Boone. Ah, the memories. With the tentative baby steps of my gaming youth now over, I developed a taste for video games that could no longer be satisfied by the aging microcomputers. I needed a new challenge, and my then favourite software house, Mastertronics, developers of games like Rockman and Kickstart as well as many others, entered into a distribution deal with a Japanese company who would change my life forever. Sega. I may not have owned a NES as a kid, but a chance visit to a friend's house introduced me to a whole new world of consoles, as he had a Master System, and I instantly became hooked. It's hard to imagine now, but it seemed like such a step up over what I had been gaming on with my C16, and Shinobi here was the first game I played. As an obsessed fan of the movie, cartoon series and Marvel UK comics back then, I was quite happy to look past the little niggles that this game has, and maybe it is the nostalgia talking, but I still think this game is seriously underrated. Looking back, I consider myself blessed to have played some of the best games available for the system on my first time seeing one, and Wonder Boy 3 has stood the test of time better than many others. The grandpappy of the fighting game genre. Still fun to play after all these years. A true classic. I spent way too much time playing this Commando ripoff in 2 players with my friends. It's not great, but this video is about nostalgia, and Secret Command certainly has plenty of that for me. I mentioned that I didn't own a NES, but I don't want you Nintendo fans to feel left out, because do you know what I did own? a Game Boy. And keeping the movie theme going, we have Beetlejuice, the game based on the disappointing animated series based on the classic movie, and if rumours are to be believed, expect the remake very soon. Super Mario Land 2 may be one of the greatest Game Boy games of all time, but the original was my introduction to the Mario universe, and it will forever be the yardstick by which I judge all the others. Yeah, there's never been a shortage of wrestling games, but this Game Boy adaptation of everyone's favourite pantomime heroes and villains, brought to us by Rare of all people, is a cheesy blast from the past. Ladies and gentlemen, what you are looking at here is pure, undiluted greatness. If ever there was a game from my past that could still send a shiver down my spine when I play it, this is it. Back in early '92, the gaming gods heard my prayers and bestowed upon me a Sega Mega Drive, and things would never be the same again. While I would place this game quite low on the best games of all time list, I don't know, whenever I play this game, certain synopses fire off in my brain and I'm back there, a kid without a care in the world and a pocket full of conkers, playing two crude dudes. Don't mind me folks, I'm on that nostalgia bullshit tonight with this one. This is a game that, once it gets its hooks into you, will never let you go. Just the music alone is enough to get me fired up. It would be sometime later that I would get myself a copy of Revenge of Shinobi, but in the meantime, Shadow Dancer filled that void. A simple but stunning game which was savaged by reviewers upon its release, but is slowly being recognised by retro fans as the classic I always knew it to be. It wasn't just 16-bit gaming I was enjoying in my early teens, but also horror movies. So disregarding all the magazine scores, I picked up a copy of this game, and while it proved little challenge, its replayability kept me coming back. There's a good reason why I chose this game to be the subject of my very first YouTube video. It's effing marvellous, and instilled in me a passion for shoot 'em ups that burns to this day. I've gone on record many times to say that Sega is the company that made me the gamer I am today. But on the Christmas of '93, my younger brother got a SNES, and I ended up playing it more than he did. If there exists a better 2D platformer than this, then I haven't played it. I can't emphasise the effect this game had on me. It had a bigger impact on me than Mario 64. If you have yet to play it, then you can't call yourself a complete gamer. Do you feel the need for speed? It may be another oldie, but clearly Miyamoto and co were on 3 shredded wheat when they crafted this rock hard but insanely addictive futuristic racer. Quite possibly one of the greatest video games I have ever played. The rivalry between myself and friends at school over who was the best at it have become the stuff of legend. You see, this is what happens when you let your mum buy you games. My initial despair quickly disappeared when I actually played it, because it's brilliant, and I have been a rabid fanboy of the franchise, that's still going by the way, for over 2 decades. I love you, cow cow. Today, I have been going back in time to play the games that mean the most to me. But I couldn't leave without mentioning the one game that captured my impressionable mind above all others. Street Fighter 2 Turbo. Nobody, and I mean nobody, could touch me on this game. I bunked off school just to play it, so much so that truant officers were sent to my house. I loved it then, and I love it now. And that's nostalgia in a nutshell. Well folks, this has been my most nostalgic games from my early childhood. I hope you enjoyed watching it as much as I enjoyed making it. And if you did, then be sure to stay tuned for part 2, where I'll be looking at nostalgic games from the PS1 and Sega Saturn onwards. So my name's Gray, this is Consoletronics. I'll have some more videos up soon. Thanks for watching and goodbye.